Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Watching tonight's Friday Night SmackDown was as painful as receiving an illegal knee to the groin from Jake Hager, and we are going to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you're watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show Friday Night SmackDown Review. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Friday Night Sleep Aid strikes again. Don't even tell me that you enjoyed this episode of Friday Night SmackDown after what we were treated to on Wednesday between both shows that were available to us. This Friday Night SmackDown was a very forced, very empty episode full of a lot of bullshit, full of a lot of drama, a lot of talk, very short wrestling matches, and don't give me the, oh well, the World Series is on. The World Series is on. Do you know who's watching the World Series? People in Houston and people in Washington. Other than that, I don't think much of the country in the United States give a shit about what's happening in the World Series. I don't think the rest of the world outside the United States really cares too much about what's going on in the World Series. And there's no way that any show anywhere in the world should consider tanking a show because there's something better in the competition on television. What happened to everything is competition? You should be putting on your best show, trying to cut into that World Series audience. You don't think some wrestling fans are flipping back and forth? You think if you're putting on an awesome Friday Night SmackDown, they're going to sit there and continue to watch the Houston Astros try to get back into this thing? No. They're not. They're going to watch the wrestling show. But you know why nobody's watching the wrestling show? Because you don't show us wrestling. Within the first hour of this show, we had like a total of 14 minutes of wrestling, and there were 3 matches in the first hour. All the bullshit that they put in the front of this show to promote a ridiculous 5-on-5 tag team matchup at a pay-per-view that shouldn't be happening, that none of us really care about, and that is going to do nothing but ruin everything that they are trying to do. And it's already started. It's already started. You have a brand split. You had the rosters picked. You had the draft. And you've already blurred those lines. We were going to stick to this tremendously. We are going to go forward and make the brand split mean something. Meanwhile, you got Seth Rollins with the Universal Championship from Monday Night Raw, still in a feud with the newly SmackDown superstar Bray Wyatt. You got Rey Mysterio showing up here tonight on SmackDown to be the spokesperson for his cousin, his compadre, whatever he is, the godfather of the giant baby son, Dominic. You got him showing up to play translator to a man that speaks perfect English. Spanish is his second language. Which begs the question, why is he yelling at Brock Lesnar in Spanish? If Spanish is your second language, and it's not primarily your better language, and the person you're speaking to doesn't speak Spanish, why is that happening? Oh, it was a great segment. Sure, it had a good moment. It had one good moment when Brock Lesnar picked up Rey Mysterio and did an impersonation of Kevin Nash, only instead of using a flying dart, he used an F5 and sent Rey Mysterio flying into the wall, and then he took Cain Velasquez and he F5'd him into giant baby son Dominic, who was laid out on the cot, and that's all you needed to see. That's all you needed to see. Everything else that happened between all of those parties involved was boring, it was unnecessary, and it didn't really get my interest. Sure, it kind of makes sense, right? But let's analyze it a little further. Rey Mysterio gets the best, not the best, he gets the worst Dad of the Night award, for sure. Let me tell you something, if I'm Tiny Dad Rey Mysterio, which I'm not, but let's just imagine that I was, and I have a giant baby son with me, and he's my son, and I love my son Dominic, and I got my compadre, I got my patron, I got my familia, I got my Cain Velasquez with me. I'm not going to leave my son in the back to do the promo knowing that Brock Lesnar is on the premises, knowing that Brock Lesnar doesn't give a shit about how much of a baby this giant man looks like, that he already put his hands on Dominic. Why would you leave your son alone in the back? Do you know how stupid the writer of this segment makes Rey Mysterio look, all to have the dramatic reveal of Brock Lesnar holding on to Dominic by his head to show Rey Mysterio, look what I did. I'm not coming out there to show you my scarred face. I'm not going to stand there with some guy that doesn't deserve to be in my ring. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to beat up your kid because you're stupid enough to leave him back here unattended, and then you're going to come and fall into my trap. The idea on paper, I'm sure, looks fantastic, but the execution of it was lacking in logic, because Rey Mysterio looks like a jerk-off, and so does Cain Velasquez. Why did you just leave him back there? Oh, well, that's how they wrote it. Well, why would you write it that way? Fucking retarded. That is so bad. That, to me, is just as bad as the 5-on-5 unnecessary nonsense, as the entirety of the existence of the Crown Jewel pay-per-view anyway. The whole Cain Velasquez being part of the WWE right now just makes me want to change my channel. I have absolutely no interest. He could have tore Rey Mysterio to shreds. He could have taken them both on a plane all the way down to Mexico, had a party and a fiesta with them. They could have been eating tacos and burritos and playing with the sombreros and he could have been celebrating the way he did back in 2014 when we had Sombrero Brock, and he could have been friends with them all night and then turned on them and destroyed their whole family and ate babies and burnt the whole village to the ground, and I still wouldn't care, not one bit. Not one bit. Not to mention the fact that you're breaking the brand split for Rey Mysterio to be involved here. If that's your play, if this is what you have happening, and you know Brock Lesnar is going to be on Friday Night SmackDown, you know Cain Velasquez is going to be on Friday Night SmackDown, you know you want Rey Mysterio to be a main focus of the Cain Velasquez storyline, why did you draft him to Raw then? I'll wait for an answer. Because it'll never come. It will never come. Because that's how dumb they are. There is no long-term planning. They're flying by the seat of their pants, and the pants smell like ass. And so does each and every show that the main roster produces. SmackDown Live has gotten increasingly worse throughout the course of 2019, and you have to take into consideration that the WWE as a company is now somewhat forced into viewing SmackDown as the A show. It's generated them more money, it's going to get more fanfare. Fox wants to be the number one show of the company. They've already said many times that Friday Night SmackDown is now the A brand of the WWE. And if being the A brand means you have to be a circus, means you have to be a clown show, a parody of a wrestling show, then maybe we should continue to stick with the B, C, and D brands. Because this shit ain't cutting it. There was nothing about tonight that you guys needed to see. There was nothing about tonight that made me more interested and made me think, oh, you know what? Maybe I will disrupt my Halloween, and maybe I will come home at 1 p.m. from work and then sit there for 4 hours instead of getting dressed up and going out trick-or-treating and getting a lot of delicious candy and treats and seeing all of the ladies in the costumes and seeing all of the decorations all over the neighborhood. I'm going to sacrifice all that for the crown fucking jewel? Clown fools? I want to see the clown fools outside my house, not all the way across the world in Saudi Arabia doing a stupid show for no reason. This is something we have to become accustomed to. This is what, a 10-year deal? We're going to have to go through this every single year? They're going to show us vignettes of The Undertaker on floats with two giant papier-mâché statues, one of Roman Reigns, of course, and the other one of The Undertaker, and him standing there with his eyes rolled up like he cares about being there at all. This show was horrendous. And that, my friends, is just the tip of the iceberg. We are just getting started. Let's talk about some of the choices in wardrobe this evening, particularly the choice of Chad Gable. I don't know if he was sitting back at his house and trying to think, what can I do to make this Shorty G thing even worse? This feels like something that would have been bad even in the 90s. What did I like in the 90s? Or maybe I wasn't, I don't know. Was Chad Gable even alive in the 90s? Who knows? But for some reason, this guy decided to channel his inner Space Jam. Maybe he's a big fan of Bugs Bunny. Maybe he likes the Looney Tunes. What the fuck was that outfit? You coming out there dressed like a basketball player? Is that to be ironic? Are you trying to be ironically funny with your outfit? Because everybody's calling me short, so I'm going to wear a tall man's outfit. I'm going to pretend to be Spud Webb. I'm the Spud Webb of the WWE. If you know who Spud Webb is, let me know in the comment section. If you don't, that means you're just a little bit too young for that reference. And maybe if you look it up, you might understand. Because back in the day, basketball was a giant man's game. It just was. It's a lot more evenly spaced out now. That being the case, he looked like a fool. It's bad enough that his name is ridiculous. Now he's got this totally asinine gear on. And it's neon green. And it's really in the color scheme of, I believe it was the alien team in Space Jam. Maybe that he was an alien guy. Who knows? Who knows? For some reason, Chad Gable decided that this was going to be a good idea. Or maybe he knows it's a bad idea, but because the boss says so and he's actually going to end up getting TV time due to all of this ridiculousness, he's just going to go on and make the best of the situation. And kudos to him for doing so, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. That doesn't mean I have to like it. I respect the kid for giving this whole entire thing his all. Because when the bell rings and he gets to wrestle, just like you've seen in the unnecessary main event tonight, Chad Gable made the most of the situation. He was by far the standout of that matchup, and he's doing the best he can with a real shit gimmick. The gimmick's not going to get over. I don't think it will. It definitely isn't going to get over with me. I'd much rather just go back to calling him Chad Gable, let him dress like a fucking wrestler and not a basketball clown from a 1995 animated movie. If it was 95. Might be being generous there. Other than that, what else can we talk about? Let's go down the card. It started with the Team Hogan versus Team Flair nonsense on an episode of Miz TV. All of this was there to set up the evening's main event, which could have very easily just been set up already. As if you made this show before bell time. You know, like somebody was actually backstage writing a show. You start the show saying, hey, we got this match and this match and this match and this match. And then you continue to book all these other stupid things impromptu like this. Like this. Just start the show. We don't need Hogan out there taking up mic time. We don't need Flair out there yapping. We don't need The Miz out there trying to make everybody remember how cool everybody in the ring is. We need you to just get to the wrestling. This was way, way too long. And it was Sami Zayn that wanted to be the standout. There was way too much Sami Zayn on this show tonight overall. I feel like he was almost in every single segment. Way too much. Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura all over the place tonight. This was just very stupid. Roman Reigns decided he was going to get at Baron Corbin and start to disrespect the king, telling him, you're not a real king. That's not a real crown. That's not a real cape. And if I were Baron Corbin, I would have been like, yes, it is. I won the King of the Ring, which comes with a crown and a cape, which makes me the king of wrestling right now. Shut your mouth, Mr. Big Dog. What do you got? But instead, Baron Corbin cowers away like the little constable dickhead puppy he is and says nothing. And he just stands there with his stupid Mr. Clean face with the cool crown on his head. He's got a cool crown. He's got a cool cape. He's letting everybody treat him like shit. And they're booking him like a clown. I don't appreciate that. Chad Gable took the mic. This one took the mic. This was all unnecessary. And I'm not going to waste any more of your time even covering it, because the bottom line was this thing ended up with a 3-on-3 matchup announced as the main event. The only thing about this is that the other two men on each team for Hogan and Flair are on Monday Night Raw. So they did the right thing, and they didn't have the Monday Night Raw guys just show up to promote the matchup, and I'll give them a little bit of credit for that, but I can't give them too much credit when I got Rey Mysterio running around on the show all night long. And we're talking about Seth Rollins on this show. Fuck Seth Rollins. Nobody cares about him. He's a gigantic nerd. He wants to go out and block me on Twitter. I don't know what I even said to the guy that pissed him off. You can't accept some honest criticism? What, are you crying because I called you a clown too, like everybody else has been calling you? I'm not the only one calling you that. Would you block the entirety of fucking Twitter, you clown? You jerk. Oh, he said something bad about me. He didn't like how the Hell in a Cell ended. He said something about Becky. Blah, 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 blah. Burn this down. You fucking jerk. Anyway, I needed to get that little bit off my chest, but let's get back to this stupid show and get over with this review, because it's really not worth talking about. We had the New Day out there in a tag team matchup with Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. This is the Glorious Rudolphs. And this match was very quick. It was less than 10 minutes. It was maybe, if I'm going to guess, maybe 6 or 7 minutes long. And we had Kofi Kingston end up taking the pinfall and losing this matchup for the New Day to Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Now, there's a couple of things that may turn for the positive from this. Okay, number one, Kofi Kingston getting the pin might be something of a continued downward spiral type of storyline they're telling on Kofi Kingston's behalf. Maybe he's going to snap at some point. With Xavier Woods being out for an extended amount of time with an Achilles injury, I feel like this would be the perfect time to either just break them off on two separate singles careers and have them do their own thing, or turn one of them. I wouldn't turn Kofi. I think Kofi's just a little bit too popular. I think this would be the perfect time to turn Big E and get a feud between these two going. Kofi can't get his shit together. Big E's starting to get pissed off. He don't got Xavier to calm him down, and that would be a great thing to come going forward from what happened here on this night. That needs to remain to be seen. But until then, I'm going to have to stick to my guns and say I don't understand why this match even existed. Roode and Ziggler beating the New Day, I guess, is a big deal for them, coming off of having a championship run that was squashed just recently. So we'll have to see what happens. This could be a good thing. This could be a good thing, as unnecessary as it might have been. The only thing I want to call bullshit on, but it actually, now that I'm thinking about it, might play into everything that I was just hoping might happen, is as I was watching WWE backstage after the SmackDown, there was mention of the New Day getting a tag team championship opportunity against the Revival next week on Friday Night SmackDown. If they just lost to Roode and Ziggler, why are they getting championship matches? And while the matchup still doesn't make sense, I will expect and hope that if and when the New Day lose next week, we start to see the partying come to an end and the pancakes will start to burn themselves. Possibly. We can hope, because at least it'll make it interesting. That will truly change things up, and it'll be something worth watching. Not just watching them lose without reason. If you could at least give them a reason and make this interesting, I'll be willing to be patient with it. But for now, this match is what it is. It was just a standard tag team matchup. Not too long, nothing very special. New Day loses. Cain Velasquez, Rey Mysterio, and Dominic are backstage. talking to each other. We don't get to hear anything they say. We come back from the break. We see a video package for Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman, another useless matchup that shouldn't be happening at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. Then we had a women's matchup, and I don't even want to call this a matchup because this was just ridiculous. Of everybody that they got in the recent draft, of everybody you need to reestablish, Lacey Evans is not one of them. She's somebody that deserves to be at the bottom of the barrel. Why she is still so highly looked upon, I don't know. This segment that they booked tonight for her was absolute trash. She's in there with some jobber, with some local enhancement talent, Cameron Connors. And my problem here, first and foremost, is here is a woman that has had multiple opportunities to win a women's championship. She has gone toe-to-toe with Becky Lynch on multiple occasions. She has been featured in matchups with Natalya, a legend in the women's revolution, the women's division, over and over and over again. And now she's going back to enhancement talents. And then she's going to embarrass this enhancement talent in a fashion that was somewhat uncomfortable and came off with somewhat of a racist kind of vibe. And I wasn't digging it at all. And I was hoping that maybe this Cameron Connors was somebody new the WWE scooped up and was about to give a flash upset victory to. And establish somebody new off the back of Lacey Evans, who still needs a whole lot of polishing because bam, bam, she smells like mothballs and freaking cat piss. Go back to NXT, train. This was useless. This was senseless. Everything that she said was ridiculous and, like I said, borderline offensive. I did not dig anything that happened with it. If you find anybody that did, then, good for them. Good for them for finding something to enjoy. Maybe they just want to stick their face in Lacey Evans' mothball ass, which is something that will never happen for them. And they'll just love her from afar forever. But you know what? That's not how we feel about it. It's not how I feel about it. And as a sledgehead, I expect that you most likely feel the same. The announcers then want to talk about the women's division, and SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley Cole speaks with the new number one contender, Nikki Cross, who is backstage. Cross is excited and nervous about being there. She wants to face Bayley, and tonight her opponent, Mandy Rose, is going to be her warm-up match, and she's going to take care of business, and she's so hungry for the championship. I'm Nikki. Good. Nothing to really say bad about it. Okay, it's fine. Something, I guess, decent. A Nikki Cross promo? I don't know. That's a stretch. I'm trying to be nice, you guys. I'm trying. Because everybody's always, oh, you're so negative. You don't like anything. That's the point of the show. The point of this show is to find everything wrong. Not to suck dick and tell you how great it is. It's not what we do. Now we have... Now we come to the part of the evening where we get the return of the Firefly Funhouse. We have a segment where we see Seth Rollins burn the Firefly Funhouse down. And then Corey Graves wants to tell us, he knows firsthand because he talks to Bray Wyatt, I guess. Corey Graves is friends with The Fiend. He gets the inside scoop, I guess. He wants to tell us, he knows Bray Wyatt's, for the last couple of weeks, been hard at work, reassembling the Firefly Funhouse. Then we come back to the Firefly Funhouse, and there's no mention of Seth Rollins, no mention of it being burned down. We end up being in a funeral service for Rambling Rabbit. We see Rambling Rabbit's burnt up, mutilated corpse, and then we see it spring back to life. Mercy the Buzzard then decides he's going to eat Rambling Rabbit. The whole time, Bray Wyatt is expositing a range of emotions from joy to sadness to glee to excitement to indifference. And then he says, we'll see you next time. And that was it. That was their follow-up. That was how Bray Wyatt responded to the Universal Champion, Seth the Blocker, Seth Blockins, burning down his house. This is his response. He has a funeral. Says, see you next time. I'm sure there's some weird, cryptic nonsense going on. Maybe, somebody's going to get at me. Oh, well, if you look at frame 367, Mercy made a face that... Stop it. Stop it. I don't care. I don't care what the pig said. I don't care what Abby the Witch said. It's all leading to a matchup that can't possibly end with Bray Wyatt winning. But there has to be a winner, and this match cannot be stopped for whatever reason. And I have absolutely no reason to give a shit. I have as much reason to care about that as I do to care about Drew Gulak versus Kalisto on this evening. WWE decides to be funny. WWE books a match that we could see and could, with all intents and purposes, steal the entire evening from everybody. Drew Gulak, a fantastic talent. Kalisto, one of the top luchadors on the roster. Seeing these guys go at it multiple times, 205 Live, could have been something really special. Could have been something to get the crowd to come to life. But instead we want to turn this into a Braun Strowman segment. Why it has become okay for Braun Strowman to start throwing around 200 and less pound guys, I don't know. Why that's impressive, I don't know. Why he's targeting Drew Gulak again when Drew Gulak is not doing anything wrong. He's just trying to help Braun Strowman. Think about it. What has he said disparaging about Braun Strowman? No. He wanted to show Braun Strowman ways that he was going to win, and he didn't want to hear it last week. This week he wants to show Braun Strowman how Tyson Fury might be able to get the upper hand and win the matchup. Trying to give him some strategy, trying to help the guy out. And Braun Strowman wants to beat him up for this? It's stupid. And it sacrificed what could have been a decent match that could have made 2 new stars for SmackDown Live. You could have got Kalisto over in a much better fashion. You could have gave him a much bigger win versus Drew Gulak, a former and very long-running 205 Live Cruiserweight champion, and it would have been good. But it wasn't, because they had Braun come out and ruin everything. And then at the end of the whole thing, you got Braun Strowman coming out, taking the microphone and saying to Tyson Fury that he's going to kick his ass because he doesn't belong in this ring. He said, see what I did to Drew Gulak, and at least he belongs here. At least he put him over that way. Drew Gulak's a wrestler, he belongs here. You're a boxer, you don't, and I'm going to beat you at the Clown Fools pay-per-view. Great. Braun! Nobody gives a shit. Certainly I didn't. Your winner was Kalisto, who gets the cover thanks to Gulak being distracted by Brown Snowman. So stupid. Then we have the segment with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is seen backstage walking towards the ring. He is going to have an interview with Michael Cole, and he is going to address the situation with his status with the WWE Universe. Are you a good guy, or are you a bad guy? Is the Yes Movement back, or are you still the planet's champion, and you're going to be on this vegan crusade to make us all make the world a better place? Which is the far superior of the 2 storylines that he can choose. But before we could even get a straight answer from Daniel Bryan when Cole confronted him with the question of, is the Yes Movement back? Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura wanted to come out. And while the proposition that they put forth is quite interesting, you almost immediately know that it's not what Daniel Bryan is going to go for. Sami Zayn offering up a partnership, saying that the 3 of them are more the same than they are different. Sami Zayn's telling him, I'm vegan too. Shinsuke's an artist. I'm an artist. You're an artist. Together we could be unstoppable, making the plea to become a team. And on the surface, I'm sitting there going, that wouldn't be too bad. If you think about it, it wouldn't be too bad. The tag team division could use a dominant tag team like that. But what good does it really do a Daniel Bryan to be in the tag team division? We've seen that from him already with Eric Rowan. What good does it do Shinsuke Nakamura to be teamed with a Daniel Bryan when he's been already teamed with Sami Zayn, which is kind of another version of Daniel Bryan? So why are we going down these roads? The obvious answer is because we are going to get Daniel Bryan versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which is a match that I will never shit on. It's a match that I will be very much looking forward to, but that doesn't mean that they went about it the right way. This thing was given way too much time. Sami Zayn was talking for what seemed like forever. Maybe that's because he was on screen for a lot of this evening. Like I said, there was just way too much of him here. Sami Zayn calls Michael Cole's question about the Yes Movement stupid. He shows the video from last November when Daniel Bryan declared the Yes Movement to be dead. He wants them to be partners. They have a lot in common, yada, yada, yada. Daniel Bryan goes to make the handshake. He makes the gesture as if he's going to shake hands with Sami Zayn, only to turn away and walk away at the last second. So what do you guys think is going to happen? Sami and Shinsuke are not going to take this lightly. They're going to keep pushing for this. Daniel Bryan's going to keep resisting, and the Yes Movement is most likely going to return. And I would rather not see it go backwards. I would rather see it continue to blossom this new Daniel Bryan. But that doesn't seem to be the direction we're going in. And we're going to have Daniel Bryan versus Shinsuke for the United States Championship. The Intercontinental Championship. I'm sorry. That's a great matchup. But Daniel Bryan, Intercontinental Champion, again, seems a little bit beneath him at this point. We get Nikki Cross versus Mandy Rose. Pretty standard women's matchup. Nothing really that special here with the exception of Sasha Banks and Bayley on commentary. I do not like superstars on commentary. I feel like it's distracting from matches, and in this case it very much was. Bayley was standing her ground. She was accusing Michael Cole of playing favorites and not understanding who she is. She was accusing Corey Graves of no longer being in her corner. They were longtime friends, and some of this stuff actually was interesting that they were talking about. My favorite part of the whole thing was watching Sasha Banks every time they cut to Bayley talking, and you watch the facial expressions of Sasha Banks, and sometimes throwing shade right at the announce team, sometimes looking like she don't care about what's going on, not one bit. For Sasha Banks, her secret to how she gets things done, it's boss time all the time. And that was okay. And this matchup was just a way for the crowd to get more familiar with Nikki Cross. Mandy Rose suffers a loss to put over the number one contender for Bayley's Women's Championship. And that, at the end of the day, is fine. It just was a little bit underwhelming of a matchup. Mandy Rose was a little bit spotty here. Nikki Cross, still impressive to pull off as good of a match as it was. It wasn't the greatest match ever, but it was a good match, and she did so, and she's making her case for her championship run. And who knows? They're not going to give it to Nikki Cross, so all of this in the end is going to be for nothing. We go to Team Flair backstage, warming up, and then we go back to Rey Mysterio and Cain Velasquez walking in the back. They are going to make their way to the ring. Before we get to that, we have to see the video package of the parade in Saudi Arabia with the Undertaker float once again, which we're probably going to see again Monday night. And now things got really, really stale, really, really boring. Rey Mysterio takes the microphone. He's talking to Kansas. He's talking about how his son Dominic was attacked 3 weeks ago, and he wants to say thank you for Dominic. Why? Why do you want to say thank you for Dominic when the kid is in the back? He could have came out with you and said it himself. And in that decision, you would have in turn made him be 100% more safe from being attacked by a living, walking demon beast. This was a very long-winded promo, trying to put over this matchup, trying to get sympathy from the crowd, trying to remind everybody, oh, we're the underdogs, and Brock Lesnar's taking advantage of us, and that's why I got Kane here. But this went on for way too long. only for them to be interrupted by Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman doing his Paul Heyman thing, talking to Rey Mysterio and calling him things in Spanish. And then we see the reveal of Brock Lesnar having attacked Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic. This would, if that was me, the minute I saw that picture, I would have taken off. But Rey Mysterio wants to stand around and make faces in the ring. Is that my giant baby son? Cain, is that Dominic? What should we do? What do you think you should do? You should have hit the jets as soon as you seen that man holding your son's face. Should have already been backstage before they cut back to the ring. Holy shit. Talk about making Rey Mysterio look like a goofball. Then it got a little bit more intense as we got to the back. We came back from the break. Rey is with his son and Cain in the trainer's room. Brock Lesnar runs in and attacks everybody. Starts beating people up with trash cans. Even the trainer. He then hit Rey Mysterio with the F5 into the wall. He grabbed Cain, launched him with an F5 into Dominic, who was laid out like we talked about earlier. And then Brock Lesnar walked away, leaving all three of them in a heap of pain and misery backstage on Friday Night SmackDown. And that's your lead-in for the WWE Championship matchup going down next Thursday on Halloween. And it's going to be more of a trick than a treat. Believe me. The main event on this evening, Roman Reigns, the team captain for Team Hogan. Is it the team captain or is it not? I don't know. Roman Reigns, Shorty G, Chad Gable, and Ali versus Shinsuke Nakamura, King Baron Corbin, and Cesaro. This match, for the greater part of the beginning, I really didn't care about, but to their credit, I will tell you that these guys got me a little bit towards the end. The final 2 to 3 minutes of this matchup did pick up the pace. I was expecting Roman Reigns to get the pin, as many of you probably were as well, but it was great to see him actually give the rub to one of the other superstars, Ali getting the pin tonight for his team, as Roman, Shorty G, Chad Gable, and Ali get the victory over Team Flair tonight. And that's it. That's it. It was a light version of the Crown Jewel main event as your main event this evening. Nothing of importance happened. The announce team was all over the place. The production of the show was all over the place. At one point, they announced 2 different matches coming up next. They were like, coming up next, 6-man tag team action. Roman and Team Hogan versus Team Flair. And coming up next, Mandy Rose versus Nikki Cross. And I'm sitting here like, well, which one is it? Jerk off. That's how bad this show is, man. That's how bad it's all right there. It's right there for you to see. And I'm sure somebody out there is going to tell me I'm crazy. Somebody's going to tell me I'm too harsh and that you had a good time enjoying SmackDown Live tonight. Good for you. If you enjoyed this, good for you. This is not what I can enjoy, especially coming just less than 48 hours off of one of the best nights of wrestling 2019 has ever seen. And then you want to go to what's supposed to be the premier brand in the sport, and then as a fan get shit on by creative and just get lackluster effort by the company as a whole because the World Series is on and we're being preempted. There should be no excuses. You should be doing your best always. Trying your best always. Listen, none of my shows are perfect. I try my best always to be as accurate and as entertaining and as funny as I could be for you guys. Sometimes that might not always be the case. Not every single one of my shows is going to be a humdinger. But I try. I don't ever sit here and phone it in. I give you my honest opinions. I tell you how I feel. I keep everything real, and I keep you guys entertained doing so. And that is a model that wrestling needs to take. Keep it real. Keep it serious. You can have some fun and some levity, but at the end of the day, get the job done. And every single Monday and every single Friday, they fail. and they're lazy and they don't do the work that is needed to get us to give a shit about this company again. Friday Night Sleep Aid almost knocked me out, and that's not the way I want to spend my Friday nights. I want my Friday nights back, man. One of the biggest things about this show that pisses me off is the fact that it was moved to Friday to appease Fox. And then Fox wants to say, well, we want a more sports-oriented atmosphere. And then I get shows like this. No thanks. Thank you, guys. We are wrapping up this week of reviews, as always, with the SmackDown review here on Friday. But it does not end. The reviews are over, but we have the head-to-head Everything Wrong with the Wednesday Night War, week number 4, debuting Saturday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check out Everything Wrong with the Wednesday Night War, our head-to-head breakdown and comparison of NXT and AEW, featuring the Poop Hammer. Everybody's getting on me for the Poop Hammer lately, and I think that this week is not going to be an exception. But hopefully it is, and maybe you guys will understand, because I really worked hard to try to figure out who won this week. It was very, very close, and if you want to find out, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow night for the live premiere of Everything Wrong with the Wednesday Night War, week number 4. Don't forget to check out everything else you might have missed this week on the channel, because we brought the hammer down and told you guys everything wrong with Monday Night Raw, AEW, NXT, and now SmackDown. And of course, tomorrow, everything as a whole. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed anything we had to say today. Share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world. And if you are not already one of the over 2,000 strong in the Sledgehead Army, and you would like to become a Sledgehead, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button right now. And then hit the notification button so that you don't miss a thing as we keep firing out the wrestling content at a rapid fire rate, so that I can keep entertaining you, picking up the slack where the WWE leaves way too much to be picked up. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the Team Thor, the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. That is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you tomorrow night for the Saturday night special right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.